If you look at the history of the consumer electronics industry, by its very definition, it's based on consumers. And those consumers are the same people, imagine that the brand marketers, the consumer packaged goods companies and the financial services companies and the like need to understand and interact with. And our view several years ago, and why we created Brand Matters, the partnership with the Consumer Electronics Association, was the non-endemic brands. Obviously, Sony and Samsung and LG and Microsoft and the like are brands, and they're all advertisers, but the non-endemic brands have really adopted CES as sort of a tentpole to kick off the year. So, if we look at the industry and we try to break it down into those key events that are important to the industry, CES is at the beginning of the year. The Cannes Lions, where we've chatted before, happens in June, and Advertising Week kind of in the fall. So if you look at those three as the pillars of the industry where big things are happening and people are coming together as an industry, I think this is certainly the start of the year. This year at CES, I think more than ever, I think the number is somewhere around 10,000 marketers out of the 150,000 people, which is quite an extraordinary number. Not unlike the phenomena that we know as Madison and Vine, where Hollywood and Madison Avenue came together, and the Silicon Valley and Madison Avenue came together. The consumer electronics industry and Madison Avenue, if you will, have come together, because as consumers are going to be utilizing this technology, these smartphones and these tablets and the devices to transact their day-to-day business, and the wearables. Just think about the wearables and the ability for the marketers to communicate on your wrist. I mean, a bit of Dick Tracy, a bit of Jimmy Olsen, but it's a bit of reality. It's a bit of Samsung today. It's a bit of Nike, and it's a bit of Jambox and Jawbone with the wearables. That data is so critical to marketers, and the ability to have these conversations between the manufacturers and the marketers start earlier in the process, I think will involve marketers in the process of developing the new technology. And I think that's going to win for both sides, because the data that you can get from a Fitbit or from a Fuel Band or from a Gear from Samsung, again, if you're a marketer and you know what that consumer is doing. I was chatting with Andy England, the CMO of Miller Coors, and he said, just think about the fact if there's a Samsung Gear watch on somebody's wrist and they walk into a bar and we know what they're doing, we can hit them where it hurts. We can hit them right there when they're making their purchase decision. So just, if you let your imagination run wild, I think you could see why CES has become so important to marketers.